AITA for crying about our situation and overreacting. I'd like to start by asking that this please not be reposted or shared on TikTok or anything like that. People who know me and know details of this story are active on there, and I'm just looking for input from strangers, not for them to see this post and possibly make it anything that could turn into a fight or argument. Thanks in advance for respecting this. I, 27F, have been with my current boyfriend, 37 meters, for about a year. We had both previously been in long-term relationships that did not work out. Mine left me displaced and moving back in with my parents. After we started dating, we discussed me moving in with him. After weighing pros and cons, I agreed and moved my things to his place. Skipping over a lot, some things happened and we both ended up moving into my parents' place temporarily. He lost his job, and when I had moved with him I had left mine because of the distance. My parents are great and very welcoming, but don't have a lot of room. It was one thing for just me to be there, but with both of us and my parents it was a tight fit. Especially since my brother would be coming back from college on his holidays, which would make there even less room. But despite this, my parents welcomed us and made every effort to make my boyfriend feel welcomed. Which he did. He said it felt very nice to be with my family. Because of the space issue, his parents offered for us to move into a building they own that is on their property. We discussed it and agreed. That's pretty much enough of the backstory to get into the actual issue. Since we've moved around so much, it's been hard for either of us to keep a job, as all three locations, my parents, the previous apartment, and his parents, are fairly far away from each other. It seems like whenever we scrape together a bit of money, it's gone. In this time we've also lost one vehicle because his completely broke down. My vehicle has had not one, not two, but 3 flat tires, and my brake pads were so bad it was dangerous to drive on them. So we had to buy new tires, and brake pads, and a few other things mostly vehicle related. He's recently started a job that he loves, but like most jobs it's held 2 weeks behind. For reference, we've been on his parents' property for around 2 months. When we first came, his family told us to use their house as we would ours, meaning to come in at any time and grab food or watch TV with the family. I appreciated it but didn't want to overuse our welcome, so I was cautious not to eat too much of their food or bother them, or so I thought. Today my boyfriend got off of work and was hungry, as was I, so we went into their house in search of eggs and sausage. This is when his mom started talking about how hard it is to buy groceries when no one is giving her any money, asking about my boyfriend's pay and why he hasn't contributed. I thought this was fair, but I also thought once she learned he won't be paid for another week she would ease back on it. Until then, she did not. My boyfriend mostly ignored her, but she spoke directly to me about her financial troubles and how hard it was to feed everyone. I hasn't known there were any financial troubles before this, as there are many income sources in the house. Boyfriend's brother and his girlfriend also live on the property with their child. I felt guilty and low. I hated that we didn't have money to give her at the moment. And, a little bit, I felt like she was blaming me for everything. Looking back, I don't think she was. But in the moment her tone seemed accusatory and almost like, "So what are you going to do about this?" I excused myself, saying I was feeling unwell. I've had some stomach distress for the last few days, so I'm sure she didn't realize I was upset. My boyfriend came out later and found me crying. He asked what his mom had said to me. I told him, and he was upset. He wanted to confront her about it, but I told him not to, as she hadn't done anything wrong really, and she was right. A bit later his mom came out saying she thinks there's some stuff in the back room on the building we are staying in she needs. I overheard her, thin walls, asking why he felt the need to keep the door locked. He told her it was so people didn't come in while we were sleeping. She said she would love to be able to lock her door, but since people need access to her home she can't. Again in the same tone that sounded accusatory and bitter to me. After she left, boyfriend saw I was crying again. And I told him I thought I would feel more comfortable at my parents'. I told him we could go together or live apart for a while and both save money to live together again in our own place soon. He was obviously annoyed and told me there's no reason for me to cry and that's just how his mom is, and that going to my parents is a huge overreaction. I said okay and stopped talking about it. Admittedly, I don't like to be told I'm overreacting due to my past relationship. So I kind of shut down. He apologized for saying I overreacted when we talked about it later. It's obvious that my reaction to his mom is causing him stress. I don't want that. He's a great guy and truly the best man I've ever dated. Thinking about my reaction, I'm torn between feeling that it was reasonable, and that my emotions are what they are, and feeling that I did overreact and was childish. Other information that is vaguely relevant. We have always intended to give his family money for what we add to the bills once money started coming in. Originally we wanted to use his first full check to take everyone out to a reasonably priced restaurant, but now I think just handing cash would be better. My parents have sent us money to help out when they could. Not large amounts, but $10 when the first tire went out to help toward a new one. They don't have much money either and struggle, but they always have my brother and I when we need it, asked or not. I believe his mom might have the impression that my parents are sending us large amounts. They are not, because they could not, and I wouldn't accept it if they tried. I generally get along well with boyfriend's family. I like them and think they are all kind and good people. This has not given me a bad impression of his mom. I genuinely don't think anything she said was cruel or out of line, and I don't think anything between our normal relationship will change. I am generally known in my friend group to be overly